Hello again, this is Mad Marty, and today I'd like to continue our journey into Star Wars Unlimited, and let's talk bases. Obviously, bases are pretty important in this game. They can make or break you, and even determine whether or not you're going to win or lose. I've learned this the hard way. No longer a beginning player, I'm more intermediate. I've logged in 1 PQ along with my weekly games at the local store, several house games, and sadly, over 500 logged games on Carabast, and then several other engagements that I don't record because I'm still experimenting. But today, let's go ahead and talk about the bases. I've grouped them up into several categories. I'm going to go over them in terms of point value, going from lowest to highest. But we'll talk a little bit about the vanilla, the special force bases, other specialty bases, and this video is going to cover anything between Spark of the Rebellion to Legends of the Force. Most of this video is going to be based on what I've observed in opposition. So basically what I've encountered by playing other opponents. Only a handful of these bases I actually use myself on a consistent basis. But I apologize in advance if your favorite base isn't thoroughly covered. I only know what I've actually gone against several times over, but I think there's a lot here. So, once again, let's begin. I'm going to go for the specialty bases non-force related to begin with the Droid Manufactory. It's a 24-point base. It was one of the first bases I really tried for Captain Rex. The idea is to create 2 battle droid tokens when used, but I don't really encounter this base at all on Carabast, and for good reason. At 24 points, it doesn't really give it a lot of room for error. You almost have to be perfect. And I was only really using this to try to get a better Unity of Purpose crack. It's just not worth it. It's not worth all the stress, which is why I switched to Data Vault. But more on that later. On the other hand, a better green specialty base is the Energy Conversion Lab. Those of you that use it would probably agree with me. I have a terrible record against this base at 11 and 22, only 33%, and a unit that is 6 or less gets Ambush. Great for special attacks from ramp decks, and it can really rock your world at the beginning of the mid-game, especially against those that ramp properly, but the record speaks for itself. On the other hand, Jedha City and Shadow Collective Camp, neither of which I've actually encountered on Carabast, at least not in terms of recorded engagements. Jedha City gives a non-leader -4 for the phase, so basically you knock down one of your opponent's units with negative attack. For the phase, not really worth it. Also, with Shadow Collective Camp, when the leader is deployed, you get to draw a card. Yeah, there's tons of other ways to get cards during the course of the game. I can see why I never encounter them. So, these yellow and red cards respectively. Oh, there's a much better red base in the form of Tarkin Town. This monstrosity, I've gone 13 and 26, and that's another 33% win percentage against it. Deal 3 damage to a damaged non-leader unit. Salty Smuggler Matt loves Tarkin Town. Quinlan Voss loves Tarkin Town. Cad Bane loves Tarkin Town. And I just do terrible against it. Record speaks for itself. It's an effective base. I'm not going to use it. Again, it's the points that are too stressful for me. However, these next two, Pao City and Petranaki Arena, these are 26-point bases, and notably, I have a 3-0 record against the two of them put together. The first one, you get a +1 health for your leader, and then your leader on the second one, you get a +1 attack. Of those 3 victories, two of them came against Von Reg, and more on him someday. And the other one came against Ahsoka, but out of 500 engagements, obviously not very popular. Also not so popular is Nabat Village. Draw 9 cards for your starting hand, no mulligan. And you have to put the 3 extra cards at the bottom of your deck by first action? I don't really see how that's worth it. That said, though, my record against it's not particularly good. I'm 1 and 2, so only 33%, but maybe they were freak occurrences. That being said, though, out of 500 engagements, I can't really say it's particularly popular. nor is Thermal Oscillator, 27-point red base, but I'm 2-2 against it. minimum deck size is decreased by 5 cards. There is some arguments saying that if you have a smaller deck, you have a better shot at getting to the important cards. That judgment is kind of reserved for a lot of players. On the other hand, the Data Vault. Data Vault in all its glory. 33-point base, 60 cards in your starting deck. However, I am 47 and 56 against it, 46% win ratio, which is right up there with my consistent average, and I have played this base more than any other base in the entire game, about 20% of the time, at 103 times of those recorded. That's why I use for Rex. I can see why a lot of players like it. It's more forgiving, but it's by no means a guaranteed victory. Lake Country, it's a 34-point base, no color, and I'm 3-3 against it. Seems to be pretty popular with Harrison Dula. Again, not very common that I run into it, but it's still an interesting match when I've gone against it. On the other hand, Colossus, the 35-point base, you have 5 cards in your starting hand, but is it worth it? Is that 5 extra health worth it? The guy that I played against in my PQ lanced me pretty hard with Colossus. Can be very good with Anakin allegedly, but I am also 10-5 against it. My intermediate skilled self, that should say something. I win against it 67% of the time. So what you think about it? Well, I guess it's up to you, but I'm not particularly impressed with it overall. So at this point, let's go ahead and talk about the Legends of the Force bases, starting with the 25-point bases. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on with these. The Mystic Monastery and Tomb of Elram, green and yellow bases respectively at 25 health each. Mystic Monastery, you can create 3 Force tokens throughout the course of the game. I guess it's good if you need a Force token on the fly right out of the gate, but I do think there's better ways to generate Force. I've never actually encountered a recorded game for Mystic Monastery green, nor have I ever encountered Tomb of Elram. It's an interesting mechanic, though. You exhaust a friendly unit for a Force token. Quite frankly, I'd rather exhaust the unit on combat, but we'll get to that. Virgin's Temple, on the other hand, is a blue version Force Mechanic special. If you have any units with 4 or more health, regroup, you get a Force token. I guess it's a great passive way to generate it, and obviously I can't beat it very well. I'm 1-8 against this base at a pathetic 11%, so I guess more power to it. So it's very well documented that I suck against Virgin's Temple. The other Force bases, though, the ones that you generate a Force token upon attack, again, I'm still relatively new against experimenting on these. Each of the colors have their own versions. Some of them have 2. Not really sure why that is. But I do love me some Vader Fortress. It's what I use for my Obi-Wan combination. My win-loss ratio percentage on those bases collectively is 37-53, with better results with the green and red versions in terms of going against them. Blue I really struggle against for some reason, but overall, the Force bases, even though they're pretty fun to play in their own right, it does kind of make you really commit to Force units and Jedi units or Sith units for the game as a whole, and it kind of takes you away from the Space Arena. So if you like Space Arena, you might, I don't know how you can really incorporate Force bases very well with that. Maybe somebody in the comments can kind of educate me a little bit. The Force bases are not bad by any stretch of imagination, but I do know several players that have been rather disappointed by it. And then you got the old reliables, vanilla bases. Blue, green, red, and yellow. I am most successful against the green at 64%. Red is next up with 57%. All the vanilla bases put together, I've fought 222 collective engagements at time of video. I tend to do a little bit better against these bases, maybe because they're a little bit more basic, but again, I struggle against the blue. So collectively, I have a lot more to learn with specialty bases, going 128 and 177, so 42% almost. All vanilla though, we seem to be getting a good handle on it, 117 and 105. Color-wise, to my surprise, I actually do pretty well with yellow at 55 and 51, but man, I suck against blue. 41 and 63. We gotta do something about that. But again, any kind of suggestions are welcome in the comments, as well as your thoughts about bases as a whole. And regardless, I appreciate you watching. This is Mad Marty, and if you like where this is going, feel free to like and subscribe. In the meantime, though, please remember to do what's responsible, avoid what's irresponsible, make the most of what you got, and get respect. Mad respect. See you next time.